All right, we are live again. It's me with NetherKast again. And before you ask, yeah, I'm working on my Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 video, and that should be done this weekend. Yeah, I'll tell you that playing that game was kind of a chore.
How do people keep the titles straight in that series?
I don't know, because I was like 358 Days Over 2 is a pretty stupid sounding title.
How do people play Kingdom Hearts, look at it, and not see the giant clusterfuck conglomerate that is Disney and all of video gaming coming together as one
There's
horrible pea soup of mediocrity and corporate cocksucking is what I want to know.
you have to understand that when people get hooked on this series, they're like 12 and they grow up with it, you know?
Yeah.
I played the first one back in the day. I had a bit of fun with it. But yeah, that's it, right? Like I was a bit older than 12 years old, but
Yeah.
I realized in fairly short order this thing was not for me.
Well, here's the
It's for
thing.
the kids.
It was first. It was like it was a charm. It was a Disney Final Fantasy crossover that gave it some charm. It's just
The interesting thing about Kingdom Hearts is that it plays all the silly things in it really, really straight. It's the like exact diametric opposite of irony poisoning.
Yeah.
It's
got some good
super
music.
earnest, it's so weird for something to be super earnest when it's Mickey Mouse talking about the darkness inside people.
Yeah. But then it turned into this convoluted mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Deadly Alliance today. Oh, yeah. Are you guys going to see Mortal Kombat 2 the movie when it comes out? I'll take that as a no.
I'm not gonna pay to see it, I'll tell you that.
Just that Mr. Burns montage where he just forgets he's been laughing at a crippled Irishman for like 5 days.
Yeah.
Just put that here. That's what I'm doing.
I think it's gonna be better than the first one.
But I don't know, because they've been putting out like saying, "Oh, it's like Endgame." I think we nailed it.
Yeah, you can't do Endgame in the second movie, guys.
It's like Avengers. People clapped. It's like Avengers. That means it's good.
Here is the thing. I'm not going to say any spoilers, but they've had test screenings, so spoilers exist. And from what I've heard of in the spoilers, there are some really good things, and there are some pretty meh things.
Yeah.
And my biggest concern is I just don't like the visual style of these movies. Like the costume designs and stuff really don't look good to me. But
I've seen Shao Kahn. I've seen Baraka. I've seen spoilers.
I actually haven't seen Baraka's makeup yet.
It's in the Discord somewhere. It's very CG.
I see.
I imagine it would be. We've seen what it looks like when they try to do prosthesis.
Yeah.
The thing is that Baraka needs to be his facial features are kind of sucked in, so it's hard to do that as makeup on a human head.
Yeah. Well, wasn't Baraka and MK2? They basically took nails and stuff from
It was a Nosferatu Halloween mask with Lee press-on nails for the teeth.
Yeah.
It took them 2 tries. The first one didn't look good. It looked like a giant, pale jack-o'-lantern.
There's also we've seen set photos of Rich DeVizio wearing the thing in front of a blue screen, and it does look baggier and not as good as in the finished game.
Yeah.
So, there is some sprite editing that Tobias had to do once he digitized these things to make them look nicer.
Well, I hear when they were doing Katana, her mask didn't always stay on when she was doing her moves. So
yeah, they had to put some double-sided tape on the bridge of her nose.
And incidentally, that's why you remember one of the canceled HD projects where they were going to reshoot with new blue screen actors? That's why that didn't look good, because you can't just blue screen and drop it in the game. Tobias would edit the hell out of the pixels.
Yeah.
And it's way easier to edit pixels when it's smaller.
But anyway, we're going to talk about Deadly Alliance. This is a change. I guess briefly we'll talk about what Tobias had planned for his Mortal Kombat 5 before he left Midway. And I think a lot of that did kind of carry over to Deadly Alliance.
Well, now the interesting thing is that what Tobias has said is that he wrote a movie script for a Mortal Kombat 5. And I think he actually wrote it after he had already left Midway as just like a personal exercise. So I don't know like how much of what he put in that script he had already been thinking about after MK4 or if some time had passed, you know?
Yeah.
But the only things he's told us about that script are that the core premise would be that it would be after a time skip. And the main character would be the now adult son of Liu Kang.
Who is dead.
Yeah, Liu Kang is dead, and his son is being trained by Sonya and Jax. And that's kind of all we know. Like,
and
that's
Ringo
it.
would be Shao Kahn's reincarnation.
Well, we assume that. I don't think Tobias said whether or not that was in the script.
Yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
sure
like we just
something with it.
Like we just assume based on where 4 ended that like, you know, Tobias set up things for the next generation. Fujin instead of Raiden, Reiko as Shao Kahn. Kai had kind of inherited Liu's place as the monk who wins things. Except not really. That one is super, like, vague.
Yeah.
Wander the earth, search for my soul, that kind of thing.
Yeah. He may be out there as a Yoda figure for the son to find and train with when Sonya and Jax's training is not adequate.
Well, I assumed Katana's the mother of Liu Kang's kid.
I mean, she would have to be.
Who else is it gonna be?
Which raises the question of like, is the son Edenian then, or was he raised on Earthrealm? How does that go down? Where is Katana in this script? Tobias has not told us that.
How long does he live? Probably a long time.
Yeah. He's half Earth, half Edenian, so that's probably that would have been an interesting concept to explore.
Yeah. But that is kind of all we know.
Well, on to Deadly Alliance then.
Yeah. So the actual MK5 that we got is kind of mostly based on an episode of Conquest.
Yeah.
Like I think the team acknowledged this back in like 2002 that they got the idea of teaming Shang and Quan Chi up from the episode where that happens in the TV show.
Yeah. Well, if Deception's Conquest is to be believed, Shujinko kicked off the plot by leading Scorpion to Quan Chi.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we talked about this last time that DA like does continue directly from Scorpion's ending, but that's kind of the only. It's kind of
we got.
It's kind of the only thing from 4 that is referenced in DA.
That Scorpion trapped Quan Chi in hell, and they actually were like, "Well, why is Quan Chi trapped there? Because he could get out of it anytime he wanted to."
I mean,
well, they go into this a little bit in Deception. Like, his powers are being drained by the plane of the Netherrealm that he's on, and it's also really hard to sit there and cast spells that are probably long and complicated to escape your infernal prison when you're regularly being savaged about the face, chest, and balls by a very angry specter whose downfall you orchestrated.
Yeah, they do explain it in DA. They just go into more detail in Deception. So what they say at Deadly Alliance is that Scorpion's particular, like, the place where the UMK3 stage is, which is where, like, Scorpion lives down there, I guess, now?
Yeah.
Scorpion's lair.
That is the 5th plane of the Netherrealm. Like, there are multiple planes, and they are numbered, and it's a reference, I think, to Dante's Inferno, where there are 9 layers of hell, and each layer is designed to punish a different sin. Now, the interesting thing is that this kind of lines up directly, because in Dante's Inferno, the 5th layer is for the sin of wrath, which is definitely what Scorpion's sin would be.
Home territory, baby.
But yeah, the thing about the 5th plane is that it sucks out like magical energy, like it drains your soul power to be there. Like the longer a person spends there, the weaker their magic will get.
Yeah.
Because magic requires soul energy as its fuel. Like that's where the power to cast spells comes from.
How many years do you think Deadly Alliance takes place after MK4?
We actually, so this is kind of fuzzy, but there was sort of marketing for MK4. I can't track this down now. I can't find concrete proof anymore. But when MK4 came out, when Mythologies and MK4 both came out at roughly the same time, one of them had a line somewhere in the marketing that said those 2 games are 10 years apart. Like, Mythologies was referred to as 10 years ago in relation to 4. So if you do the math, the MK1 comic says Scorpion died 2 years ago. So Mythologies would be 2 years before MK1. So if MK1 is 1992, then Mythologies would be 1990, and MK4 would be set in the year 2000.
Which was then a future year.
At the time, because the game came out in like 97, 98, yeah. So we have a date for MK4 now. Now, here's the other thing, is that in Deadly Alliance, there are several bios that say the 10th tournament was 10 years ago.
So it's been 10 years since MK1.
Yes, so MK1 is definitely 1992, and Deadly Alliance is definitely 2002, and those are the years those games came out.
Yeah, and Deception takes place immediately after Deadly Alliance.
Yeah, it would still be 2002 in Deception. And then Armageddon is like 6, but it's somewhere less than a year. It's some number of months after Deception, so it's maybe 2003 in Armageddon.
It's not immediate, but it's close.
Yeah.
But, so... Deception's Conquest basically says Shujinko led Scorpion to Quan Chi, and that's Scorpion starts chasing Quan Chi, and then Draman and Moloch hear the fighting, and they go, let's see what's going on.
Yeah, there's I mean, they go into it in the bios and Conquest mode stuff that's in Deadly Alliance about how, like, Quan Chi spent the entire time running and hiding from Scorpion, and eventually he bumped into Draman and Moloch, and he, offered them, hey, keep that guy off my back, and when I find a way out of here, I'll take you with me.
You can trust me. I'm a necromancer.
Yeah, of course. Why?
Being simple demons, they believed him.
Why would Quan Chi lie? He's such a straightforward guy.
That's a face you can trust.
But
absolutely.
We do see that in the intro. We see Quan Chi running from, what's probably Scorpion through the portal.
Yeah, he's like looking back over his shoulder as he's hauling ass.
He's fleeing Scorpion. There's no question about that.
Yeah, definitely. And what we see in that intro is that he runs towards like a big sculpture of Shinnok's amulet, and it starts spinning and turns into a portal.
Yeah.
And what that is about is that Quan Chi, while he's running and hiding from Scorpion down in the Netherrealm, and Draman and Moloch are keeping Scorpion busy, Quan Chi managed to find something called the Rune Stone. And the Rune Stone is a big slab of rock with carvings in it that explain how Shinnok's amulet works. Because apparently, even though Quan Chi spent all of MK4 using the amulet to trick Shinnok into think he was using the amulet, even though that was happening, there's still a lot about the amulet that Quan Chi doesn't know how to do.
Logically, only one person could have constructed this runestone.
Yeah, I mean,
Shinnok himself. It's his amulet. It's
well, there's actually there's this lore hidden throughout DA and Deception about how when the Elder Gods early on in the history of the universe, when the realms were young, the Elder Gods hired a group of sorcerers called, like, the Ancient Mystics, or the First Sorcerers. They hired them to build a network of portals so that they could appoint champions to go through the realms and search for the Kamidogus. They needed the Nexus to be built, basically. So they hired these sorcerers to build the Nexus. And now all of these sorcerers live in the Netherrealm. And that's interesting, isn't it? Why would they all be in the realm that's a horrible, awful prison? Unless maybe the Elder Gods stiffed them on the deal somehow.
Yeah.
So the thing is that there are stages all throughout DA and Deception where the backstory of that stage is it was built by the first sorcerers, and that's why it has ancient mysterious writing on it, and it has some connection to the Nexus and all that stuff. Now, the other thing they reveal is that when the first sorcerers were done building the Nexus and the portals, Shinnok, like, under the table, went to them and said, "Hey, can you build me some portals too?" And that's what all of the portals that look like the amulet are. They are ones Shinnok had them build in secret, and the only way to activate them is with the amulet. So Quan Chi finds all this out from the runestone. He may have known some of it already because it's unclear, but he might have been one of the first sorcerers.
eventually, after growing from his original Oni form.
Yeah, they
possible.
actually give Quan Chi's backstory for the first time in Deception. It turns out that he used to be an Oni. Like, he was one of the scrawny little green ones, the ones that look like goblins that roam around in Deception Conquest. He used to be one of those guys, and when he like, the Netherrealm isn't just where bad people go when they die, it's also where the gods hide magic artifacts and stuff that they don't want anybody to find. It's like the dump. You know, they just throw this shit away and hope it'll stay hidden because the Netherrealm is so big and so mysterious. And Quan Chi found some, like, spell books or whatever and taught himself magic and used the magic to evolve into, like, a chalk white human.
Yeah.
And that's his origin story. And so he may have done this so long ago that he was one of the sorcerers who the Elder Gods commissioned to build these portals.
What I want to know is why Shinnok would leave an instruction manual for his amulet around.
I think maybe the first sorcerers are the ones who made the runestone. I think maybe they left the instructions behind. But the point is, Quan finds the runestone.
It can only be created once. It's confidential information.
Yeah, well, it's not instructions on how to create the amulet. It's instructions on how to use the amulet. You know, it's like you buy a new remote for your TV and your DVD player and your radio and all these things, like it's the universal remote and it has so many buttons and you have no idea how to use it. You need the manual.
I guess. It just seems silly, that's all. Anyway, go on.
So because Quan is in a hurry and he's being chased by Scorpion, he has to burn the writing that's on the runestone onto his skin so he can take it with him and read it later. And that's why he has those tattoos. And that's why it's so stupid when he has the tattoos in Shaolin Monks, which is a prequel, or in MK9, which is...
Or every game he appeared in afterwards.
Yeah, every single game he's in now is set before when Deadly Alliance would have happened, or Deadly Alliance never happens. But he has the tattoos.
I figured you pointed that out so that they would go, wow.
And here's another thing I've always found kind of funny. The tattoos go all the way to the back of his head and shoulder blades. How can he read those?
I mean, the man can open portals behind him. It's not out of the question he can stare at the back of his own head. In fact, I'm sure that's how it's done.
I just feel like he had some real estate left before you get to the back. Like, he has his whole chest. He could take off his pants and use his legs.
Yeah.
I really want to see this in like comic form. Just
it's
opening a portal, tattooing the back of his own head through like with his hands. Ow, ow.
It's not like Victor Zsasz making the tally marks where he's killed so many people he's run out of space. He's still got plenty of skin left.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he burns the writing onto himself and he keeps running, and eventually he finds one of the portals he's looking for and manages to escape. And the portals, apparently, like, you see it in the cutscene, like, they randomly flash through different destinations. So I don't think you get to pick where you land. And when Quan runs through this one in particular, it dubs him out in, like, the random wilderness somewhere in Outworld. And now that he's in Outworld, he thinks, or actually, no, it dumps him actually into a specific location. It dumps him into the lost tomb of Onaga.
Yeah, by coincidence.
Which, well, here's the interesting thing, is that other characters will run, they're chasing Quan, so they run through the portal too. Scorpion runs through the portal, and he lands somewhere else because it flips randomly through different locations. He lands somewhere else. Then Moloch and Draman run through, and they land somewhere else.
I dare say, that bald, pale fool did not hold up to his end of the agreement. Indeed, my erstwhile friend, he is a bounder and a cad.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
on his flesh.
He didn't like outright backstab them, but he
just abandoned them.
Like, he just ran off without them, and they take it as a betrayal, even though they still managed to escape through the portal like he said they would. So I don't know why they're so mad. Like, technically, he held up to the end of the bargain.
They're not the smartest tools in the shed.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then is revealed in the Game Boy port, Serena was also following them all, and she runs through the portal too before it closes, and she lands somewhere else different from everybody else.
Is anyone else hearing the Benny Hill theme?
The thing is, Quan Chi's the only one who, where he landed, also had one of Shinnok's portals. Like, that's, the Lost Tomb is the stage with the giant portal, the big Shinnok's amulet, and then all the Onaga mummies. So yeah, Quan lands there, and he finds Onaga's sarcophagus with the body in it, and he finds all of these mummies, and he reads the writing on the coffin, and he realizes all of these mummies could be magically brought back to life if you had a way to do it. Like, for example, if you were to steal a soul and put one in one of these mummies, the mummy would reanimate and it would, obey you.
Who do we know that's good with stealing souls?
Yeah,
here's who we know who's good with the art of soul transplantation.
But of course,
here's the thing.
In later games, they just have Quan Chi able to do that anyway.
Yeah, so. Yeah. In from MK9 on, Quan Chi knows how to steal souls, so he wouldn't have needed help. The only way the plot of Deadly Alliance can happen at all is if Quan doesn't know soul stealing.
Which is why he goes to Shang Tsung.
The entire reason he teams up with Shang is because he has magic Shang doesn't, and Shang has magic he doesn't.
Every goddamn time we bring up the rest of Mortal Kombat, I lose IQ points.
that was the plot of the Conquest episode too. Quan teamed up with Shang because Shang knows soul stealing and he doesn't. And the whole episode, he's trying to get Shang to teach him soul stealing, and Shang keeps, refusing to do it or saying, I will later, and then not doing it until Quan gets pissed off at him, and they turn on each other. That was the plot of that episode, and that's what the game is based on.
And, well, here's the thing. We'll get into this a little bit more. They were planning to double-cross each other when the time came.
Oh, yeah, of course. They're bad guys.
You don't say!
They can't work
Such fine,
together.
honorable gentlemen as these? Heresy, I say.
You can't... If your plan is to rule the world, you're not going to share it.
Yeah.
So Quan goes to Shang Tsung. Now, Shang Tsung at this point, after MK3...
He's actually not doing too bad for himself. He's
Yeah.
he's back in Khan's, if not good graces,
Well,
decent graces.
Yeah.
surprisingly...
Well, how is Shao Kahn alive? Let's talk about that, because he should be dead after it.
He just is.
Yeah, we saw him explode, like lasers shot out of his body, and the entire roof of his fortress blew up. And we're just going to ignore all of that. We're going to ignore the fact that there are Shao Kahn-shaped coffins in MK Gold. Fuck that.
They plainly just came to the decision, fuck it, the guy's still around, we need him.
Now, to be fair, I like the fact that they retconned Outworld and Edenia as, having been separated after MK4. I think there is more narrative potential in having Outworld as a separate place and letting Sindel and Kitana rule somewhere else.
As do I. I've become quite used to it.
Yeah.
But I do not agree with the choice to have Shao Kahn not be dead.
Yeah, you only really get to make that first impression once, and when you bring back a villain like that, he's never going to have the same amount of weight, of gravitas, of threat. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, they have them kill him in the opening, but I'm like, you could have just said he was dead after MK3.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They brought him back to kill him again.
You gotta push your guys for SummerSlam. That's what this is about.
Yeah, I do kind of I see the reason, the idea of if we show Quan and Shang killing Khan and then killing Liu Kang, we are really building up what a threat these two are together. That they have taken out the main bad guy and the main good guy, and that's kind of value storytelling wise. So I would not get rid of that. I just think there is an easy way to fix this, and it's to say that the Khan they killed was Reiko wearing the helmet.
That would actually be pretty damned hilarious.
Yeah, you can keep everything, just say the guy under the helmet was Reiko.
Well, here's the thing. I think there was obviously ways they could have brought Shao Kahn back, but the way they came up with, I didn't die, that was my clone.
Well, we don't need to talk about that until Deception. That's
everywhere.
Every part of the story up until the very last minute when Deception's expansions were released tells us that Khan is dead right now. That Quan Chi and Shang Tsung have killed him. So let's operate under the assumption that that is what they intended. And that when they do retcon it, it's because, someone at the very last moment just dropped in Vogel's lap. By the way, we're making a Deception expansion, and Shao Kahn's going to be in it. Figure that out.
That someone was Ed, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So just ignore that that's going to happen for right now. It will be as dropped into our laps as it was into his.
Yeah.
Right now, we are intended to believe Shao Kahn is dead.
Yeah.
Let's run with it. Let's enjoy the moment.
Yeah. So the Deadly Alliance. Well, I want to talk a bit about. So Shang Tsung. It's actually kind of surprising to me that he survived MK3.
It is this thing we call the Starscream effect. He's too useful. Khan's in a very, very bad place. He needs his guy around.
Yeah,
that's how I tend to look at it.
The thing is that if you're going to say Shao Kahn did somehow survive exploding at the end of MK3, I will give them the credit that at least they do say Shao Kahn was so weak, he had lost so much power as a result of his defeat in 3, that he decided to lay low and let the realms think he's dead while he heals up. Like he's not leaving the fortress, he just sits in his throne room and he's like just recovering. Like he's on the mend and letting people think he's dead so that they'll leave him alone and not come try to finish him off.
And Katana finds out he's still alive and leads an army in a preemptive strike.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. But
we'll get there.
While Shao Kahn is injured and recovering, he does like blame Shang for the fact that they lost MK3, even though Shang kind of had nothing to do with it.
He's got to blame someone. It's like I'm surrounded by idiots.
Yeah. So what the story says is that for the first little while after MK3, the first several years, he puts Shang in the dungeon and just leaves him there.
And he lets him out occasionally too.
Yeah. After a while, he's like, I need Shang to do something for me because I got my ass beat and I'm still weak and tired. So he has to let Shang out every once in a while to run errands. And eventually, Shang runs enough errands that he's like, okay, I'll let him out of the dungeon. And so Shang goes out into the wilderness of Outworld, and he builds himself like a summer home. Like he's basically like got a villa to retire at.
Yeah.
I like what this says about Shang. It's like, you know what? I need to put some distance between myself and the boss. I need my own personal space. I've done so much. I just want a nice place to live. He can't stop me from leaving the palace anymore.
Yeah,
take my freedom, damn it.
It really does feel like Shang is trying to retire. Like I'm just gonna build myself a house. I'm gonna settle down. I'm gonna live out here in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not going to try to
acid spewing statues for decor.
Yeah. I'm going to not take over the world for a while. I'm just going to, take it easy. I'm going to relax because I've had my ass beat like 3 times in a row and I'm tired of fighting these Earth Roamers and stuff. I'm just done. I'm just going to chill here. Now, the one thing it does say is that every once in a while he will invite a local to come by and like, hey, you want to spar? You want to do some kung fu? Let's find out who's stronger. He's kind of like doing the Goku thing of like, you look really strong. Let's fight. But
it's also trying to steal their soul.
Yeah, what it actually is
the man's hungry.
He's actually just stealing their souls.
Just because he's retired doesn't mean he doesn't still need to eat.
Yeah, this is actually how he survives. He does need souls. He will die without them. So that's what Shang Tsung has been up to in the years between 3 and Deadly Alliance. Yeah. And then one day... So like you said, Kitana somehow finds out that Shao Kahn is still alive. And so she's like... oh, fuck that, and gets the entire Edenian army to come to Outworld. And then she goes to her friend Goro, because she's been doing diplomacy stuff and making treaties with him since MK4. And she's like, hey, Goro, remember that time Shao Kahn, was gonna betray your people and put the centaurs in charge of everything in Outworld?
Yeah.
You're mad about that, right? Okay, well, Khan's still alive. Let's go get him. Let's stop him from, doing something like that again.
Yeah, let's get him before he can make a move.
Yeah, so the Edenians and the Shokan team up as an army to march on Shao Kahn's fortress and finish him off.
Shit that you wish you could see in cutscene form.
And Kano is leading the Outworld army against...
Yeah, that's the thing. Because of the events of MK3, Motaro's dead and Shiva's dead, and Kano kind of protected Shao Kahn's life. So Shao Kahn is like, I need a new general, and most of my guys are gone. I guess it's you, Kano. You're in charge.
Shao Kahn needs someone to lead his forces, and Kano is the man to do it. Because there's literally nobody else.
Well, here's the thing: is that
where is Reiko during this? It bothers me.
Where is Reiko is a good question, because he's there when Khan's back in Armageddon.
I mean, the real world answer is they plainly had no idea how to resolve the MK4 question.
Yeah, they were just
not know.
They just didn't want to talk about Reiko in 2002. That's just how the developers felt at the time.
Yeah. So,
if you look at Baraka's still there, I think.
And it does say Noob is the one who mortally wounds Goro.
I was getting to that, but like I just wanted to talk about like who else could have been in charge instead of Kano. And the thing is, like, Baraka and Reptile went back to Outworld after MK4, so they are working for Khan at this time. So it could have been one of the two of them. Ermac,
who we'll get to, is
Ermac at this point.
Yeah, you would not put Reptile in charge because he's currently devolving, and they go into the fact that it's not just that his body has changed. His mind is getting bad too. Like he's slower than he used to be mentally.
He's more animalistic.
Like he's basically mentally handicapped now.
He's having waking delusions.
Oh yeah, he is hallucinating all the time too. That's a problem. You can't have him as your general. He wasn't very smart to begin with.
So yeah, by default, basically.
Yeah. So Baraka is there, but
Melina is off in a dungeon still.
Melina's in a dungeon in Edenia. Everybody thinks she's dead. Ermac should be there, except Kenshi might have already freed him off screen. Because when we get into Kenshi's backstory, it's that sometime before the start of the game, Kenshi joined the OIA as an agent because he wanted to be sent in Outworld so that he could hunt down and kill Shang Tsung. Because obviously Shang is the reason he's blind, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to recap Kenshi's entire origin story.
Yeah.
Well, so he appeared to him as an old man in song and said, "Hey, I know where you can get a sword, and I know that you're hungry for rep, and hey, where is the sword? It's in this cave. Follow me, young man." Gah, my fucking eyes! Ha, my name's not Song. It's Sung. And that's the story of Kenshi.
Yeah. So Kenshi wants to kill Shang. So Kenshi joined the OIA and became like the scout that they send into Outworld.
But he really just wants to kill Shang. That's it.
Yeah. Well, actually, so Cyrax is the scout they sent into Outworld, but Cyrax got lost for reasons we will get to.
Yeah. His saga.
And so Kenshi was sent to find Cyrax. But instead of looking for Cyrax, he immediately starts hunting Shang. He doesn't care about his actual job.
I keep telling you, the man's an asshole!
He was an asshole. The MKX version is a nice man, okay? And you need to lay off.
I could buy Kenshi being arrogant.
Anyway, Kenshi
on
his
out for
travels...
Smokes. I might not be able to find them because I'm blind. I'll be back when I'm back.
Kenshi, on his travels, encounters Ermac, presumably because, like, hey, you're an intruder in Shao Kahn's territory. I'm going to get you for him. And Kenshi is like, I can sense that you're under mind control with my psychic powers. Let me fix that for you. And so presumably, by the time Kitana and Goro are at the gates, Ermac doesn't work there anymore. So that's why he's not there. But I
mean, even had all this not happened to Ermac, I still probably wouldn't put them in charge of anything. Too erratic, too uncontrollable.
I think it's a problem. So. I think a general needs to be intelligent and strategic, and Ermac, because he's under mind control and just follows orders, would not have been the right guy to like lead troops. I think Ermac works good as as an enforcer, like a singular agent that you send out alone to do jobs for you, but giving orders to others is probably not in his skill set while he's mind controlled. So yeah, so Noob Saibot was there, but Noob Saibot's more of a stealth assassin. Kano was apparently just the best person for the job that was around at the time.
I would
So,
just generally, on principle, even as Shao Kahn in my current weakened state, I would not trust anyone who came from hell on general principle.
Yeah, Noob doesn't actually work for Khan. He's like a mercenary on loan.
Keep
So
him on a
not
very
general
short
material.
leash.
Like, Rain's not there anymore. Rain apparently just fucked off back to Edenia at the end of MK3. He just abandoned the army. Like, he's just AWOL. Tanya might be there. It's not clear whether she is or not. Like, she works for the Deadly Alliance once they form. But did she work for Shao Kahn before that? Like, all we really know is that at the end of MK4, she was exiled from Edenia. And so she moved to Outworld.
Yeah.
I look at her presence hanging around Shao Kahn's palace grounds in Deception as indicative of the fact that she sought new employment. It's not necessarily, like, canon the way we saw it, because we'll get to the problems with Conquest eventually when we do Deception. But I think that in short order, she found herself working for Khan and always have.
Yeah. And
I'm just saying, like, if you just stick to the text, they never say that. They just say that
Quite true.
She was in MK4, she was kicked out of Edenia, and then she worked for the Deadly Alliance. What she did in between, we do not know. That's all I'm saying.
Correct. Quite correct.
Anyway. So Khan has Baraka, Reptile, Noob Saibot, and Kano, and that's kind of all he has at the time.
He's got a broken great Indigo Cyber Ninja down in the dungeon.
Yeah, but that's broken. They're not turning that on. So Kitana and Goro's forces come knocking. And so Shao Kahn sends Reptile, hey, we're in trouble here. Go get Shang. I need Shang to be here for this fight. Go get him.
And thus begins the greatest saga known to man. Oh god, that poor bastard. He just keeps suffering game after game after game.
Reptile goes to Shang's house. And when he gets there, he sees Shang shaking hands with Quan Chi and plotting to kill Shao Kahn.
Well, actually, no. First, Reptile gets Shang Tsung doesn't recognize Reptile, and they have a fight.
Oh yeah. He gets to Shang's house, and Shang is like, weird iguana monster, and fights him. And he's like, oh shit, you're Reptile? What the fuck happened to you?
Yeah.
So he agrees. Yeah. Tell Khan I'm on my way. And then Reptile starts to leave.
And then that's when Quan Chi shows up and Scorpion shows up to fight Quan Chi. Because we see that in the Edema Immortal music video, Quan Chi.
Yeah, actually, it is interesting. So Quan Chi, Scorpion went through the portal and landed in a different place, but immediately started looking for Quan. I've got to hunt him down. I've got to get him. I still, revenge. Revenge, guys.
Also, fuck, he's out of the Netherrealm. That means his powers aren't being drained anymore. I gotta find this guy as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So Scorpion does catch up to Quan when Quan gets to Shang's house.
Yeah.
And so, Shang just kind of sits back. He's like, whoa, what's going on with these two? Why are they fighting in my backyard?
Yeah.
First, Reptile shows up. He's been devolved. Now these two are showing up?
Yeah. So Shang,
I'm not retiring, am I?
He just watches. He just backs off, and he's like, what? This is clearly between them. It's none of my business. I'm going to wait until it's over and then figure it out. So Quan does win that fight. He kicks Scorpion into the acid.
He does the star kick, if I remember right. That little slidey pop-up kick.
Yeah. There's text in the Conquest, the training mode, where they're like, and by the way, this special move, he's used this to do this before.
Yeah.
And that's how Scorpion winds up back in the Netherrealm. Fuck.
Now the thing is that Scorpion gets stronger the more time he spends in the fifth plane, because the plane of Wrath for whatever reason, fuels the powers of a specter. Like Scorpion, what Scorpion became when he was risen from the dead back in MK1 is a being that is specifically fueled by anger and hellfire. And so being in the part of hell with the most anger and hellfire gradually makes him stronger over time. And so Scorpion now has the ability to leave hell whenever the fuck he wants. He no longer has to, like, get permission from Quan Chi to be sent to a tournament like he did in previous games. Or he no longer has to, like, wait until Shao Kahn accidentally sucks him out through a portal while he's trying to steal souls. He doesn't need help to escape anymore. He can just leave whenever the fuck he wants.
I don't think that was actually explicitly stated in the Conquest, though. It's kind of... It's a reasonable explanation, but I think this is...
Well, here's the thing, is that...
conjecture.
They do say that Scorpion dies, like, twice during DA, and he just comes back.
Yeah, just don't dwell on it.
They just say he can leave. And the thing is that him needing help to leave was such an important part of MK3 and 4. Now, they do say that while the fifth plane drains Quan Chi, it makes Scorpion stronger. They do specifically say that. They just don't directly connect him being stronger to him being able to teleport out at will. So it's kind of obvious, but yeah.
It's just saying, the pieces fit, but they don't say this specifically. I point things out like this when they happen. The point is stuff up. You know?
Scorpion now has the ability to leave whenever he wants, which he did not have in 3 and 4. So Scorpion immediately returns to Outworld and is back on the hunt, but by that time, Shang and Quan have already left Shang's house, so he's got to look for him again. It takes a while. So after Quan kicks Scorpion into the acid, Shang is like, the hell was this? The hell are you doing here? Quan Chi's like, I've got a proposition for you. How'd you like to rule the Outworld? How'd you like to take over?
And Shang's like, what do you got? How do you plan to do that?
Yeah, he explains, so I got this army of mummies, right? And you can put souls in them, right? So if we work together, we can control the army and take over. And he, to sweeten the pot, he's like, also, I have the ability to open a portal to somewhere like, let's say, Heaven. And if I did that, the souls of the dead would come shooting out, and you could steal them whenever you want. You would have an infinite supply of souls. You would be just fed forever, and that's what I will give you if you'll help me raise these mummies.
Well, I am getting sick of fighting hobos. I suppose retirement can wait.
And Shang's like, but first we gotta do two things. We gotta take care of Shao Kahn and Liu Kang.
Yeah, we got it. If we're gonna take over Outworld, we kind of have to get the king out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, and by the way, if we start going after the realms, Liu Kang's gonna beat our ass. He always beats everyone's ass. It's a problem, man.
So we gotta take care of him before he can beat us.
Right. So the first two things they do is Shang is like, Shao Kahn just invited me to the fortress. Let's go say hello. So Shang Tsung and Quan Chi go to the fortress together. And by the way, Reptile has overheard them plotting and scheming, like I said. So Reptile's like, I got to get there before they do. I got to warn Shao Kahn that they're going to turn on him.
And Natara stops him.
Yeah. Reptile, on the way to the fortress, meets a strange vampire lady. And she's like, hey, I know you're on your way to Shao Kahn, but can you stop for just like 5 little seconds? Because I want to tell you something. And she's like, I can show you where Katana and Goro's base camp is. Shao Kahn would like to know that, wouldn't he? And Reptile's like, yeah, you would. Yeah.
Make us happy.
So because Natara takes him to show him where Katana's people are camping out, Reptile is going to be late. and he's not going to get there in time
And
to save Shao Kahn from the
Kano is
Deadly
there,
Alliance.
but he's waiting behind a pillar because he's like, I'll just.
He's watching. He's doing the thing that Kano does.
Kano is in the throne room, but he's like hiding and like, he sees the meeting. So Shao Kahn meets with Shang and Quan. And Shang and Quan, like, they bow, they're like, hey, I found this fucking white guy. He just escaped the NetherRealm. He's willing to work for you. We would take him on, use the both of us. Khan's like, bend the knee. And they do. And then they immediately unbend it and jump him.
It really doesn't take that long. It just
it's
literally
just you see it in the opening cutscene. They run
go off your guard. Bloop.
Yeah, you just see his helmet like fall down. The stairs.
They do skip the fight because it is just it's just a cinematic. They don't have time to go into everything, and they probably didn't have the budget to
scream.
Yeah.
They didn't have the budget to show the whole fight, but they do like talk about the fight in the conquest text, and they say that like Khan does almost win. Like, even though it's a 2-on-1 and he's weakened, he's still, like it's a big fight and it's very even and he almost gets him, but they pull it off at the end. They kill Shao Kahn.
Yeah, and that's when Kato comes out.
Yeah, Kato's been like hiding and watching the whole thing because he's like, oh, I don't know which way this is going to go. I'm not going to pick a side until after it's over. So right after they kill Shao Kahn, Kano walks out and he's like, yeah, I'll work for you guys. You're in charge now, right?
Yeah. You got and they're like, well, you know what? You got the army, so we'll do it.
Yeah. It's just, it makes it easier to transition if they just keep everybody in the same jobs. But it is worth noting, I'm pretty sure that before this, like before Quan and Shang jump Khan, is when the armies are fighting each other. Like Kitana and Goro are fighting Kano and Noob Saibot. And they're like, Kitana's side almost wins, but Noob Saibot sneaks up behind Goro and stabs him to death. Yeah. And Kitana is distracted by that, which allows Kano to beat her. And
they duel to a standstill, basically.
Yeah, she calls for a retreat. So Kano basically wins.
Yeah.
So then Kano goes back to the fortress to tell him, hey, we just won! And that's when he sees Quan and Shang killing Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
It really is very remarkable just how well they put all of this plot together.
Yeah.
It's the most complete and thorough bit of plot. The most well-defined instance of events occurring concurrently, one after the next, in probably all of MK's storyline. We get so much information for everyone via Conquest mode. It's fantastic.
It's very tight. It's very, like, carefully ordered. Which is
how long it took Vogel to put all this together.
Yeah, I mean, Deception is also very tight and ordered in the bios and endings. It's just that Conquest mode is wacky as fuck, timeline-wise.
We'll get into that next time.
Yeah, they did not do a great job figuring out when Shujinko should be doing what. But everything else, like the main cast, all of their bios and endings are pretty much just as tight as what's in Deadly Alliance. So yeah, like a lot of hard work and careful plotting went into these two games that we just do not see in any other Mortal Kombat game ever. And that's why DA and Deception are my favorite MK games. So Shao Kahn is dead. Kano has bent the knee to the Deadly Alliance to spare his own life. Noob Saibot has decided to fuck off because he's like,
I'm not following these chuckle fucks.
Yeah, my orders were to follow Shao Kahn. And even though those orders came from Quan Chi, the mission is over now and I can leave.
Yeah.
So Noob steals Smoke's body from the treasury for some reason and goes back to the NetherRealm, and we'll get back to that next game.
Yeah. And
I'm sure it'll be a little bit important.
and
Which actually also makes me wonder, considering how long Shang was down there for. Do you ever look over at Smoke's body and be like, "What even is this thing?" But anyway,
I think he kind of knows. Like, I don't know how much Bihan knew about the Cyber Initiative before he left for the MK1 tournament, but I think he's maybe got some way of telling. Wait a minute, I know this guy. This is Smoke. How'd he become a robot?
So at this point, this is when they go to Earth to kill Liu Kang.
Well, Reptile gets back to the palace, and he's like, oh, I'm late. Khan's already dead. Fuck. And now he's like super depressed, and he wanders away from the fortress, and he's just kind of walking aimlessly through the wilderness. Like,
it's really sad because he's so disappointed in himself.
Yeah. The Lonely Man theme from Incredible Hulk is playing.
Like he hasn't quite realized he's been had. It takes a little while for the wheels to spin.
Yeah.
It's all so sad on multiple levels.
Well, he never quite does realize that Natara tricked him, because what happens next is Natara shows up, and she's like, "Oh, you didn't make it in time, huh? That's rough, buddy. If you need a job now, right? Because I could use some help with something.
Oh, yeah. Go.
And we're friends, right? I did that nice thing, and I showed you where Katana's camp was. You can trust me, right?" And so Reptile... Reptile goes off with Natara, and Natara's also like, "Hey, by the way, I'm a Tomb Raider, and I know some things about your species from ancient ruins and stuff. And I found this neat sword that used to belong to the Saurians. You can have it, buddy."
And he's so happy to get it, he flails it around and accidentally stabs Natara just a little bit.
Now, fortunately, vampires in Mortal Kombat do follow Dracula rules. The only thing that can kill Natara is a wooden stake through the heart, or like garlic, or the sun, Earthrealm sun in specific. They say that in I think it's in the text of an image somewhere in the crypt, but it might be in her conquest mode. They say that only the sun of Earthrealm has radiation that vampires are allergic to.
Yep. This is from
which is why when vampires hunt in Earthrealm, they only hunt at night. But they can she can move around whenever she wants in the sun of Outworld, and it's not a problem for her. Which, by the way, I think is completely ignored in MK12. I think they have some different bullshit about how she needed Quan Chi's magic to be able to walk around in the sun. Whatever. 12 is bad. We're not going to talk about that.
I will say, Reptile does eventually figure it out, though. His ending says his revenge would have to wait.
Well, here's the thing. So Natara, I mean, she puts up with a lot. Like, Reptile is hallucinating and accidentally stabs her, and is, constantly like he's bitey and a little bit feral, and she puts up with it. Like, she's like, yeah, this is a wild animal, and he keeps coming at me accidentally, but I need him for my plan, just for a little bit longer. So she gets Reptile. What she really needs is Natara's whole story is that her people don't like Shao Kahn. They never have. They were, most people in Outworld don't like Shao Kahn because their realms were invaded and merged by force.
She wants what any denizen of Outworld, any unwilling denizen of Outworld wants.
Yeah.
Her realm free.
Yeah, so Natara has never worked for Kahn. Her race prefers to stay in hiding and not interact with other Outworlders. But Natara in specific, the reason she is a Tomb Raider, an archaeologist, is because her job is to hunt for a way to separate the vampire realm of Vaeternus from Outworld, to free it again. And so she's been looking through ancient texts and ruins her whole life, trying to figure out how to separate realms. And what she has found is that when Shao Kahn does a merger, the magic that holds the two realms together is coalesced and contained in like a crystal ball. It makes these orbs whenever he does it. And so presumably when Sindel and Katana freed Denny at the end of MK3, they found one of these orbs and smashed it.
There's probably hidden orbs all over Outworld.
Yeah, there's an orb for Zatera, there's got to be an orb for the Kaitin, there's got to be an orb for the Ashtek, etc. Shao Kahn hides these orbs so that nobody can find and break them. And Nitara has discovered that her orb is buried under the lava of a volcano. Which she can't get to because lava. But for somehow, she figures out, hey, that Cyrax guy from Earthrealm that's been wandering around and spying on us,
he's probably fireproof.
Yeah, his body is somehow, like, the metal he's made of is somehow tough enough to withstand lava. I don't know how. Steel melts.
I just, giving her the benefit of the doubt here, it really can't be understated just how good Nitara is at what she does.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
of scheming that goes on in the MK series, and she is pretty much the only one who gets away scot-free, 100% successful with everything she shoots for. It's fantastic.
Well, here's the interesting thing about it is that Nitara is portrayed as a bad guy in like a
general
sense of like when she's in adaptations of stuff. She's always like working for Shao Kahn or the bad guys in general. Like, and I guess it's, well, yeah, vampires do kill and eat people, which like Reptile has the same thing. Like, but people are super sympathetic to Reptile. Like, everybody thinks Reptile would be a good guy if he just turned on his abusive masters, even though raptors eat, mammals, like human beings. But yeah, Nitara never does anything evil in the entire 3D era. She's basically a good guy.
She's officially aligned as neutral, I believe.
Yeah. The thing is, like, she does kind of manipulate people to get what she wants instead of just telling them. So, like, she is kind of like a user, but, like, she doesn't want to take over the world or kill a lot of people, She just wants to free her realm.
Free her homeland.
Yeah.
Occasionally drink some blood.
So, it's understandable goals.
So Nitara, she befriends Reptile. She gives him the Kirihashi blade as a gift in order to win his trust, and then she tells Reptile to attack, Cyrax, because he's like an invader from Earthrealm. You get rid of that guy; he's a problem. And she specifically tells him to bite Cyrax's wrist, because that's where Cyrax's control panel is, and it controls like his ability to radio in and communicate with Sonya and Jax. It controls his ability to open a portal and go home.
Nitara is very intelligent.
Yeah, how she knows all this is crazy, because she's never been in an MK game before, and Cyrax is not from Outworld.
I mean, she has to have seen him using speaking into it and figured this out.
One thing I think is worth noting is that Nitara actually does send Cyrax back to Earthrealm, so she upholds her into the bargain.
Well, yeah, here's the thing, is that she manipulates the hell out of Reptile, and maybe she needs to, because Reptile is becoming mentally incompetent over time.
Always was a dangerous individual to start off with.
Yeah, he's got, you have to work around his handicaps. So, but she's totally honest with Cyrax and completely forthcoming with him, except that she never tells him she's the reason that his wrist thing is broken.
Yeah.
But the point is,
I mean, it's a minor omission.
It's a little, yeah, it's just a live omission.
It's a hidden, irrelevant truth.
She does uphold her into the bargain.
Yes, she is actually like Other than she's the reason he's stranded in Outworld, she does everything honestly with him. So she has Reptile bite the wrist, and then Cyrax, he makes the saw blade come out of his chest.
And poor Reptile is so terrified at what he thinks is a many-toothed beast emerging from Cyrax's chest.
Yeah,
he freaks the fuck out.
Reptile interprets it as though Cyrax has a big monster mouth for a chest and runs away in fear.
It's funny, but it's just so sad.
So Reptile fucking bails. And Cyrax's wrist thing is broken because Reptile bit it. And Natara comes out of the woods and she's like, hey, I saw what happened. You need some help? And Cyrax is like, yeah, I need to get home. How do I get back to Earth? And Natara's like, so I have this necklace that can open portals. I'll send you home, but only if you'll do me a favor first. I need to get this crystal ball out of this lava, and I'm pretty sure you're lava-proof. So would you do that one thing for me?
As things would turn out, she was 100% right.
Yeah. So they journey. We'll get back to them, but they journey all the way to the volcano, which is where Blaze is guarding the dragon egg that Onaga will be reborn from. Deception stuff.
It's a regular cave of wonders, this volcano.
Oh yeah. It's the so they go on this journey to get there. Yeah. And Reptile,
Hector.
They left him behind because he ran off, and Natara doesn't want Cyrax to know that Reptile was working under her orders, so they just, they leave without him.
And that's when Reptile realizes, hey, you duped me.
Yeah, Reptile is like, wait a minute. Where Natara? She's leaving with the yellow guy. She fucked me.
Not good.
So
I'm just picturing him mulling over the facts, and it takes him like 15 minutes, and he's just standing there, completely stock still. You can hear the crickets in the background. Poor Reptile.
Yeah, so he figures it out eventually, and he decides, I'm gonna get them. And so he's following them to the volcano. Like, he wants his revenge. We'll come back to them later.
Because other things are happening in Earthrealm.
Yes, so the Deadly Alliance, they have their throne, they have Kano, they have very few other people. They go to Earthrealm to kill the second guy on their hit list. And so they go to the Wuxi Academy, where Shang Tsung morphs into Kung Lao because he can do that, and sneaks up on Liu Kang.
But Liu Kang almost pretty much kicks his ass for most of that fight.
Yeah, it's a short cutscene because budget.
Yeah.
But it seems like Liu was gonna get him. And Liu has, gotten him at least twice, maybe 3 times already in his life. Shang Tsung is,
It's a personal thing at this point.
Shang has never beaten Liu, and they fought more than once. That's where I'm going with this. So Shang, this is his life's ambition. The thing he wants most in the world is to fucking kill Liu Kang, and he just can't do it. But this time he's got Quan Chi with him.
Yeah, Liu Kang only loses.
Quan Chi
hits him in the back.
Yeah. As he's getting his ass whipped, Quan hits Liu in the back with a green skull. And that allows Shang to get the headlock on and snap Liu's neck.
And Raiden was watching this.
Yeah, Raiden has...
It really can't be... Hold on a second. It can't be overstated just how much this messed with everyone back when it happened. Yeah. No one saw it coming.
Yeah, nobody ever expected that they'd kill off Liu Kang. I mean, it was the right time to do something with Liu Kang. Like, 4 tried to make him the Obi-Wan to someone else's Luke, and just nobody bought it. Like, they just didn't push Kai the way they should have. So if you're trying to move Liu to the background and focus on other heroes, and that didn't work, I guess you have to kill him.
Yeah.
But even so, Lu was the winner of the previous 4 games, so it is really shocking to have him dead and not in the game, like not on the playable roster.
Yeah. It's the only one that he's not in, I think.
I believe that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Liu Kang and Noob Saibot are the 2 characters, well, Bi-Han. Liu Kang and Bi-Han are the 2 characters who have been in the most games. The only game Lu's not in is Deadly Alliance, and the only game...
it isn't that he's technically in the intro, so it counts as an appearance.
I guess, but
I
roster.
mean, we're talking selectable here.
The only game Liu Kang's not on the roster is Deadly Alliance. And if you count the Game Boy version of Deadly Alliance as valid, then the only game Bi-Han's never been on the roster of is MKX.
Yeah.
And Scorpion missed MK3, so I guess it's Liu, Bi-Han, and Scorpion are in the most games. Yeah. If you specify Hanzo, he's not in 12. So Scorpion has missed 2 games, but Liu and Bi-Han have only missed 1 each.
Yeah.
Anyway, we snapped our turkey's neck for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Got his neck snapped and then his soul stolen. So Shang achieved his goals in life. And
It's
now
been a really good week for both of them.
Yeah, he's
so they go. So after that, like one thing I noticed is that in MK9, like they have Raiden be the one who's like cradling Liu Kang's body, but I'm like, shouldn't that have been Kung Lao? You remember what I'm talking about? Like when
I actually.
Well, why are we talking about MK9 at all?
Well, no. When Raiden sends the message back in time, it shows us little flashes of events.
Yeah, but
fuck MK9. Who cares?
A lot of those flashes are inaccurate.
Stop talking about NRSMK games, or I'm gonna put a gun in my fucking mouth.
Okay. So, yeah, the thing is, Raiden is currently one of the Elder Gods. He got promoted at the end of MK4. So Raiden is watching. He does know what's happened, but Elder Gods are not allowed to interfere in stuff. Now, here's my question.
Where's Fujin?
Why doesn't, like, the Elder Gods are allowed to tell the Realm Gods to do stuff, so why didn't Raiden send Fujin?
Yeah.
People often ask a lot of the time, like, where was Fujin during this? Why wasn't anyone watching? Why didn't Raiden or Fujin prevent this? And I think it just bears saying that gods aren't omnipotent, all-seeing, everywhere, in the idea that we typically have of the Judeo-Christian god or whatever, what have you. Raiden's got a job. Fujin's got a job. They're protectors. Well, first off, Raiden at this point is an elder god. He's prohibited from intervening. Fujin is the protector of Earthrealm at this point. He's probably off doing protecting Earthrealm stuff, you know? He's busy. He's got stuff to do.
Whatever else in the world of Fujin had to be doing. So if the Elder Gods did summon Fujin and then tell Fujin, hey, there's trespassers in Earthrealm right now, go stop that. By the time Fujin answered the summons, got the explanation, and went down to save Liu Kang, the fight happened so fast that it would have already been over.
Yeah, and this is when Kung Lao finds Liu's body.
Yeah, Kung Lao was supposed to be at the temple, so like...
why wasn't he there? That's what I wonder.
I presume Shang waited until Kung Lao left the room, like...
People gotta use the bathroom.
Yeah, he's got his own life. He's doing stuff. He's, So he waits until Kung Lao walks off, and then he turns into Kung Lao and sneaks in. And then once the fight's over and they get the hell out of there, Kung Lao walks back out. And he's like, oh no!
I was gone for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So Liu's dead. And Raiden is mad that the Elder Gods wouldn't let him do anything, and that they won't do anything about... These 2 guys, who are not from Earthrealm, just trespassed into Earthrealm and killed the title holder of the Mortal Kombat tournaments. And we're not going to do anything about that? They're probably going to invade other realms. We're just going to... And it's like, yeah, we're not going to do anything about that. That's what we do.
Elder gods being elder gods. Just,
Look,
can't intervene. Sorry.
The mortals have to take care of their own problems. That's like our big rule. That's our one rule.
And Raiden's like, well, if you're not going to do something about this, I will.
Yeah, the thing is that the way Raiden got promoted to Elder God is by being the guy most willing to attack the bad guys.
Yeah.
You can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah. Raiden steps down from Elder Godhood, returns to being the God of Thunder of Earthrealm. He does not take back the position of Protector of Earthrealm. Fujin is still the Protector of Earthrealm. But Raiden's plan is, look, I'm gonna round up my Earthrealm buddies and make a strike team, and we're gonna go after Shang and Quan. We're gonna get those motherfuckers. So we are doing like a preemptive strike Black Ops mission in Outworld, which is not my territory.
But in case we fail, you stay here. Yeah.
Fujin, your job is to protect Earthrealm, so you stay in Earthrealm and protect it.
Yeah. I think they said that on a fight night, they asked and Ed said, yeah, Fujin was told to stay in Earth in case Raiden failed.
Yeah. That's the Protective Earthrealm's job is to protect Earthrealm. It is what it is. So Raiden, him and Kung Lao, they round up Sonya and Jax, and
that whole at this point, Su Hao is blowing up the Outworld investigation agency.
Yeah. So. Well,
let's go back again.
Yeah, let's rewind the tape a little bit. So Shang and Quan, they've killed Shao Kahn, they've killed Liu Kang. They're setting up their base of operations, their power center as the new rulers of Outworld. They've got Baraka and the Tarkatans. They've got Kano as their general. They pick up Tanya as a quote-unquote ambassador, which means Tanya's job is to go to villages around Outworld and inform them who the new kings are and demand tribute. Yeah.
She's a tax collector now.
Basically. Yeah. And so her and Baraka are not in Deadly Alliance, but they're in Deception, and Deception explains that this is what they were doing during Deadly Alliance. They were working for Shang and Quan.
They're around.
Yeah. So the thing is that Shang and Quan don't really trust Kano. I can't imagine why. So Quan Chi goes to this other group that we're just hearing about for the first time called the Red Dragon Gang clan.
Turns out that the Red Dragon Gang are the originals.
Yes, the Black Dragons are an offshoot of the Red Dragons, formed by... So the Red Dragons are a group of... They're more like a... We don't find this out until Armageddon, but they are a cult that serves the demigod Dagon. And their job is to eventually help him rise to full godhood and take over the realms and whatnot.
Not really so much a criminal syndicate.
Yeah, but in the meantime, while they wait for their plans to help their god figure ascend, while they're waiting for that to come to fruition, they are doing regular crime stuff to fund the group and expand their power throughout the criminal underworld. And so they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years in secret as like the Illuminati behind the mafias of the world. And the Black Dragons, about 100 years ago, were a bunch of Red Dragon members who were like, this place is so strict. They don't let us do the shit we really want to do. So let's start our own gang with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
Literally.
And so the Black Dragon formed. They split off to do their, blackjack and hookers. And they're very public, and they're very small-time street gang thug stuff. And the Red Dragons are like, those guys are making us look bad. Like, they stole our whole thing, they quit on us, and they're copying us, and doing it in a shitty way, and I hate them. I want
How are they
them
making us
gone.
look bad? No one knows what we are, or even that we are. Shut up! They're making us look bad.
Yeah, we have to destroy them. So there's this Red Dragon member named Movado.
Yeah.
And
Movado's been taking care of some business.
Yeah, Movado's main job is he's the guy in charge of getting rid of the Black Dragons.
Yeah.
Now, let's flash back to Mortal Kombat 3 for a little bit, because we have an ex-Black Dragon who has happened to turn on the criminal underworld.
Mm-hmm.
He's not part of the Black Dragon anymore. He's a vigilante. He's fighting for justice. He's running around these mean streets with a respirator and a couple of hook swords, and he's caballing. And he's, unfortunately, yes, I had to do it, and he's gotten some attention from the Red Dragon because he's been fighting the likes of them in the criminal underworlds. And this is, again, how you push someone for SummerSlam. By having Movado fight Cabal and having Movado come out victorious and nearly murdering him with his own hook swords.
Yeah. Its deception reveals that Cabal survived.
Havoc saved him.
Yeah, but we're not to deception yet. Deadly Alliance wants us to think Movado has killed Cabal, and that's why Movado has Cabal's hook swords.
Yeah.
But we actually need to go back further than that.
Oh boy.
We need to go back before MK1, because Movado has a partner named Su Hao.
It really is fascinating how well all this stuff is layered.
So Su Hao is a member of the Chinese army who, while he's working for the, he's specifically a military police in the Chinese army. And he joins the Red Dragons while he's in the army, and Movado is like, hey, I heard about this weird cybernetics experiment that if you get your heart replaced, the new one can make you stronger and shoot lasers. And it'll I don't know, for some reason, Su Hao's heart, his cybernetic heart, also affects his emotions.
Yeah.
In the sense that he no longer has emotions, which makes him more loyal and dedicated to the Red Dragon clan. So Su Hao, gets this, he signs up for this operation, which is done by the same scientist that would later do Kano's eye. So there's this black market cybernetics guy in the background of the MK universe who we never get a name for. There's I think the novelization called him Dr. Rotwang.
I refuse to accept that.
No, that's not the name we should be going with. That name.
How about something nice and inoffensive like Zagat?
Problematic.
Problematic indeed.
So, anyway, Su Hao, because he's got this cover story of, hey, I'm just a guy in the Chinese army. He's able to approach Sonya and Jax in the Special Forces and be like, so the U.S. Special Forces, you guys are forming a task force to go after the Black Dragons, right? Well, the Chinese army also wants to get the Black Dragons. So can I be on your task force? And the answer is yes. And so the reason that the Black Dragon gang slowly goes extinct from MK1 to MK4 is because Su Hao, using Red Dragon intelligence, is able to help the Special Forces find the Black Dragons and their hideouts and systematically dismantle this criminal organization. And they think Su Hao's their buddy. They think he's law enforcement like them. They think he's an army guy like them. He's just from a different country.
Yeah, the Su Hao is also probably the most hated Mortal Kombat character of all time.
Yeah, but it's so easy to fix. We've done a video on that. We don't need to go into Su Hao. The thing is, Su Hao is doing it because the Red Dragons want it done. Sonya and Jax don't know that. So anyway, when we get to MK1, Kano's like, I'm going to go to this tournament, and I'm going to get all this gold and treasure that this Shang Tsung guy has, and I'm going to come back with it, and we're going to be better than ever. Kano does not come back. He ends up in Outworld. He ends up working for Shao Kahn. The Black Dragon Gang never see him again.
Yeah.
Which allows Sonya and Jax and Su Hao on one hand, and Cabal on the other hand, to basically capture or kill all of the Black Dragons until Jarek is the only one left, and then Jarek runs himself off a cliff.
Or Jax throws the ball, whatever you go with.
I want you to just consider the fact that somehow, some way, Jarek, out of all people, was the last person standing.
Well, let's look at the Black Dragons who were left for a minute, shall we? Let's take Kano and Cabal out and look at the rest of the group.
Tremor.
Yes, we've got Tremor, but Tremor is a Lin Kuei who was hired to work for the Black Dragons, as far as we know. So maybe he just fucked off, you know?
I mean, my perspective on Special Forces in the Mortal Kombat timeline, because it doesn't actually work as its own story, is those guys are probably already dead by this point.
Yeah, it's unclear, but maybe Sonya and Jax would have been killing all of the bosses through the game if the game was real.
Maybe.
But yeah, so we have Tremor, who's either dead or just quit. We have Jarek, who is the one who survives. And then we have Tazia and No Face. Now, No Face is already a horrible burn victim. I don't know how tough he's gonna be. He's wearing a tank of gas on his back. It's very easy to explode him.
Yeah, they're all dead. It doesn't matter.
He's wearing a tank of gas on his back, and he likes to play with dynamite. He might have killed himself. And Tazia bought those swords at the mall. Come on, guys.
Look, she's supposed to be skilled with them. I can believe that she could at least put up some sort of fight.
She is theoretically some kind of girl ninja. But she probably died in whatever the real version of Special Forces looks like.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's why Jarek's the last one.
Yeah.
Are we sure he wasn't just passed out in his trailer for like 2 months?
Yeah, he's just kind of the only one lucky enough
they just couldn't find him.
His skill set is being the cowardly, wormy one. He's just the one who runs away.
His skill set is Jack Daniels and pizza and lots of hangovers.
Anyway,
that's what Jarek is.
The point is that Su Hao has succeeded in using Sonya and Jax to destroy the Black Dragon Gang. And so Su Hao is asked to join the OIA when it forms, because Sonya and Jax just perceive him as one of their strongest allies.
Doesn't speak much. Never seen the guy laugh, smile, or cry. But his intel's good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good soldier. He's very strong. You know, Jax appreciates a big, meaty man.
They've definitely had flex-offs.
Oh yeah. They're gym bros. They work out together. They were pumping iron. That's actually my favorite thing about Su Hao, is that he was technically, like, if you look at his character design and you kind of ignore the things that suck about it, it's like he's literally designed to be the evil version of Jax. His whole thing is that he's a big, jacked pro wrestler. He has a cybernetic torso instead of cybernetic arms. And he's
bionics everywhere.
Patriotic about a communist country instead of a capitalist one. He is Bizarro Jax. He's Jax's Venom. He's Jax's Sinestro, you know?
He's Bane. Yeah. Bane. That's his name. Ask him again and he'll tell you the same. Say it twice and he'll bring the pain. When I say no, you say survive. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop now. It's too much fun.
Strawberries are packed with fiber.
Bowel movements. I'm a bitter memory. Okay, let's focus. Let's focus.
There are very few people listening will actually figure out what the hell we're referencing.
Look up the Bane outtakes. Let's move on.
Anyway, so Raiden goes. I guess we don't need to go too into this.
Well, I wanna, because I was getting into the Red Dragons for a reason. So Quan Chi is like, we've got Kano as our general right now. Kano kind of sucks.
We don't trust him.
We do not trust Kano.
So Quan Chi goes to the Red Dragons and he's like, "Hey, Mavado, if you'll work for us, I'll give you Kano. You didn't know he's alive, but we have the last Black Dragon. You can finish your mission, and all you have to do is do some stuff for us."
Yeah.
And the first thing we want you to do is, you've got a guy infiltrated the Special Forces, right? Do something about that.
Fortuitously.
Yeah, so Mavado tells Su Hao to nuke the OIA base, which takes out their techno portal and also most of their men. And, Sonya and Jax... Well, Sonya wasn't at the base when it's blown up, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Jax manages to escape the blast.
He catches Su Hao in the act.
Yeah. Yeah, he sees him set the bomb, and he gets away in time to not blow up, but he knows Su Hao did it, and he really wants revenge.
Oh, yeah.
But the point is that so Su Hao has disabled the OIA's ability to go to Outworld. Like, he's taken out the portal that was built at the end of MK3, the tech that the Special Forces used to get from realm to realm. Which means, even if they could find Cyrax, they can't bring him back. They just sent Kenshi to look for Cyrax, they can't bring him back. And Su Hao jumped through the portal before the bomb went off, so he's in Outworld, and they can't go after him. So Sonya and Jax, fortuitously, Raiden comes to them, and he's like, "Hey, I could take you to Outworld." And then Sonya can rescue Cyrax and Kenshi, and Jax can find Su Hao and get his ass. So Raiden recruits the two of them. Meanwhile, the Deadly Alliance and Kano have found one of Shinnok's, the giant amulet portals. This one happens to be oriented facing towards the sky, like it's in the ground. Flat, horizontal. And this portal is right next door to a village, a little fishing town in the wilderness of Outworld called Sun Do.
Yeah.
Sun Do is where Li Mei lives. Li Mei, at this point in time, is she's a very young girl. People wonder if Outworlders age the way Edenians do. They seem to think that they do.
I mean, she's like, in our turn, she'd be like in her 20s, I'd say.
Well, the thing is, so Bo Raicho is over 500 years old. We know that he trained the Great Kung Lao.
Yeah.
But we don't know if Bo Raicho is that old for normal reasons, or if Bo Raicho is special, because the guy trains in like magic kung fu and chi stuff can have a way of it extending your lifespan. So I don't think normal human Outworlders are supposed to live as long as Edenians do. I think Li Mei is 18, like literally.
It is also worth mentioning that we don't know one way or the other. I tend to think that Bo is that way as an example. I don't think that Outworlders live anywhere near as long as Edenians, but I don't think it's out of the question that they have a longer lifespan. I like to compare the Mortal Kombat universe's foreign races versus humans to the way that Tolkien did things, where man is the shortest lived among all the species. They're the babies, but they have the most potential. That's how I look at it.
Maybe, but here's the thing. The reason I believe Li Mei is 18 is that she explicitly looks way older in MKX, which is set... If Deadly Alliance and MKX had been in the same timeline, MKX would have been 10 years after. Because Deadly Alliance, we said, is set in 2002. It's set 10 years after MK1. MKX is set 22 years after MK9, which is that version of MK1. So it's there is a 12-year difference, and Li Mei is older in that game than she is in this game. Physically, like her face is wrinklier and stuff. She looks like an older person. So I think Li Mei, and the other thing is, like, Li Mei narratively is designed to be a young, naive student character who is on, like, the first adventure of her life. That's the purpose of the character in MK Deadly Alliance. And the character is very different in MKX, where she's, like, the mayor of her village, and even more different in 12, where she's a police captain and very old. The point is, Li Mei is a young, naive person, and the Deadly Alliance, Kano marches his army in and is like, we are seizing this town for the new rulers of Outworld, and all of you are being conscripted to build a palace over top of that big amulet-looking thing in the ground over there.
Start building.
Yeah.
Also,
yes.
Our ambassador will be here shortly to collect your taxes.
Yes. Tanya's probably there somewhere. So Li Mei is like, they're taking over the town. I'm not going to stand for this. And so Li Mei, like, beats up Kano. and so Quan Shang think this is pretty funny. And they're like, hey, wait a minute. We're not gonna like put you to death. Like, obviously she's not gonna beat Kano up and get away with it.
They're entertained.
There's armed guards everywhere. So Li Mei gets caught. But they're like, that was funny. That was amusing to us. So here's a proposition. We're gonna hold a little Kung Fu tournament because that's how we settle things in Outworld. Everything is done through Mortal Kombat tournaments.
Yeah.
There is a tournament held by the Deadly Alliance. It has nothing to do with the larger portion of the story.
No.
But just a little thing that they do for fun.
It is not for the realms. The Elder Gods are not watching. They don't care. There's no, like, prize. Well, the prize is, Li Mei, if you or someone from your village wins our little tournament, it's you and your people versus Kano and these guards. If someone from Sundo wins, we'll let Sundo go.
My existence?
Li Mei agrees to this. They have their little tournament. We'll get back to that later. Kano has now outlived his usefulness. Well, there is one more thing he does. In Deception Conquest, he catches Shujinko and forces him to join the villagers of Sundo. And so Shujinko trains Li Mei for the tournament.
It's a quick session.
Yeah, but the point
she's
is
a good learner.
Li Mei has a connection to Shujinko. She knows him. He's one of her senseis in her life. And the way the Deception Conquest presents it is that one of Li Mei's main fighting styles in the game, she learned that from Shujinko. Like, that's the one you do in the training exercise. So then Shujinko, like, sneaks out of the village and fucks off. Like, he says, I have this friend named Hotaru. He's in charge of a village nearby. I'm going to get his help. I'm going to come back and we're going to fight these Deadly Alliance guys. That does not work out. Shujinko does not come back. We'll talk about that next game.
Yeah, but yeah, well, the whole purpose of the tournament is that whoever wins will be the last soul they need to add to the army.
Yeah, I was going to get to that because it doesn't actually happen until the end of the game. But it is a trick. Like, everybody who loses in the tournament gets their soul stolen and put in a mummy.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. So, Kano has now outlived his usefulness. At this point, the Deadly Alliance says to Movado, Hey, good job with the special forces. Mission accomplished. I got a new mission for you. I'll let you have Kano right now. Kick his ass and you can be our general.
Well, he said. Well, first he says if you get rid of this Kenshi guy who's stalking Shang Tsung.
Well, that's after the palace is built. Kenshi will be trying to sneak into the palace, and Movado will be guarding the palace and catch him.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that happens after the Kano fight.
Yeah, they don't. For whatever reason, they don't. Movado decides not to kill Kano.
Yeah. In the ending where this is described, Movado is kicking Kano into the lasers in Quan Chi's stage.
Yeah,
but Armageddon reveals that Movado didn't kill him; he captured him,
and that fell between the lasers. It's okay.
All right. Anyway, the Kano is off the board. He's out of here. Movado is now the Deadly Alliance's main guy. And he's got 2 new missions. One of them is to guard the palace. And the other is that... he's got 3 missions, actually. He's got to guard the palace against Kenshi. Quan Chi tells him, hey, I've got like this intel that Shang is going to turn on me.
So he's keeping Moloch and Draman in his...
Moloch and Draman. So they escaped NetherRealm through the portal. They were chasing Quan Chi and Scorpion out of it. They ended up in a random village somewhere in the wilderness, and they started eating people, as they do. And Quan Chi found out, or Shang Tsung found out about it, and he's like, hey, what's up with you 2 demons? And they're like, do you know where Quan Chi is? We're here to kill Quan Chi. And he's like, I'll tell you what. You guys live in my basement, and I'll give you Quan Chi when I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so Moloch and Draman are being hidden in the basement of the new palace that the people of Sundo have built.
Which is why Moloch is the sub-boss of Deadly Alliance.
Yeah.
I say, friend, do you think that we can trust this one? He seems to be of a slightly stranger pallor than the last one. However, we shall give him the benefit of the doubt henceforth. Care for a leg?
Indubitably.
They should totally talk like that.
Yes, that would be great if they were just like old-timey Englishmen.
Oh, they're so criminally underused.
So they're in the basement, and Movado finds out they're in the basement, and he's more loyal to Quan than he is to Shang because Quan is the one who hired him. So he like goes off to tell Su Hao, like, hey, I need you to be ready. We're gonna turn on Shang when Quan gives the order, and we need to watch out for these 2 demons in the basement. And then Quan gives him a 3rd mission, which is when Raiden brings the heroes to Outworld, Quan wants the Red Dragons to go after Sub-Zero and the Lin Kuei, but they never really get to that.
Yeah, it's a plot thread that was set up but never followed through with.
Yeah, that part just kind of never happens. But yeah, so Su Hao and Movado are kind of, the main guys working for the Deadly Alliance, and they're running errands back and forth in the background of the game. Back to Raiden recruiting dudes.
Yeah.
So somewhere in Hollywood, one man is filming yet another movie.
Yeah. And apparently Johnny Cage thought Raiden was just the actor playing him at first.
Yeah. So Johnny's on the set. He's making another Mortal Kombat film. And this Mortal Kombat film is one where Johnny's supposed to die. And Johnny doesn't like that. We talked before about how many Mortal Kombat-based movies Johnny actually gets to make. My theory is that he finished the first one in time for him to die at MK3. So he only actually got to make one. And
I personally think that he just cranks them out, just one after the next.
it's possible there's been more, but I would
It's been a little bit of time since the last
I
tournament.
want to believe that the first movie he made was MK95, and the one he's making now is Annihilation. That's why he's so mad.
Mortal Kombat: The Death of Johnny Cage.
Yeah, it's literally in the title, Mortal Kombat: The Death of Johnny Cage. And he doesn't want to make this movie, but he's stuck in a bad contract that he's trying to get out of. And so he's on the set, and there's people walking around in costume. Like, there's a guy in a Raiden costume, there's a guy, mocap is walking around here on set somewhere.
We'll talk about mocap in a bit.
Yeah. And then, Raiden shows up to recruit him, and he mistakes him briefly for the actor playing Raiden. And then he realizes, oh, it's a real guy. Oh, you want me to come on another adventure? I can get out of making this fucking movie? Let's do it. I'm with you, brother. Get me off this set.
Oh, there's my Raiden. He's at the catering table stuffing his face with donuts.
Yeah.
Then Raiden recruits Sonya and Jax next, I believe.
Yeah, because Sonya wants to get to Outworld to rescue Cyrax Akechi. Jax wants to get to Outworld to murder Su Hao. Yeah. Kung Lao's already with them. And the last ones they get are Sub-Zero and Frost. Now, here's the thing is that, like...
Sub-Zero had this whole thing off screen where he took the Lin Kuei back from Sector.
Yeah, so after MK4, it's interesting because the arc of Kuai Liang's character under Tobias was about him, like, getting his freedom from the Lin Kuei and making a new life for himself. And then, Tobias leaves, and Vogel's writing Deadly Alliance, and he decides to have Kuai Liang go, wait, it's not enough that I should just quit? The Lin Kuei itself is a problem, and I'm the one best suited to fix that problem.
Yeah.
So he goes back to the temple, and he finds that the Grandmaster has been murdered by Sector, and Sector is taking over. And Sector, like, I think he gets there right when it happens. Like, Sector is reaching for the Grandmaster's medallion, and Sub-Zero interrupts him.
Yeah.
And so Sub-Zero and Sector fight over this magic medallion. Now, the interesting thing about the dragon medallion that the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei wears is that it enhances the power of the person who's wearing it. It's not specific to ice people. Anybody can use it, and it will just make their magic stronger. And we would find out in 9 that the reason it does this is because it also kind of steals the soul of the person wearing it and uses that to fuel the magic. Which is why Sub-Zero looks much, much older than he should be in Deadly Alliance, is because the medallion has eaten a little bit of his soul and rapidly aged him a bit.
This is one of those things that was always implied, never stated.
It's never stated outright. It's never stated outright. It's just, boy, Sub-Zero looks way too old. What's up with that?
I remember in Armageddon, like, one of my scenarios I wrote, like, I had Scorpion and Sub-Zero meet for the first time since MK4, and like they're like staring at each other, and Scorpion just says, "You look terrible. You haven't aged well."
Yeah. So they didn't really explain the rapid aging in Deadly Alliance, but in Sector's 9 ending, they reveal that the medallion eats souls. And so now it makes sense. So the reason I bring that up, though, is that I'm not sure what it would do for a cyber ninja, because the whole lore of the cyber ninjas is that having your whole body converted, if you had superpowers beforehand, you lose them because they come from your soul. And the cyber ninjas, their souls are gone or suppressed. Like, they specifically say in Smoke's Deception backstory that when he was converted, they had to replace his smoke powers with clouds of nanites that would imitate what he used to be able to do. because he can't do it anymore once he becomes a cyber. So I don't think the medallion should be able to enhance Sector in any way. I think if he wants it, it's just for the symbolism of wearing it.
Yeah. And after Sub-Zero beats Sector, Sector goes off and forms to Kuna.
Yeah. Sector retreats. He survives and gets away. But Sub-Zero is now there isn't much of a clan left to be in charge of. In fact, there might be nobody left. Like MK4 did say that the Lin Kuei was completely disbanded, and that was only slightly retconned in gold by saying Sector and Cyrax still work for them.
Yeah.
Well, when you fall off the horse, you eat that horse.
Yeah,
you make a new clan, which is what Sub-Zero does.
So Sub-Zero moves the clan away from the temple that it's been using as a headquarters for, since way before mythologies.
Which was in Mongolia. He moves it north.
Yeah, he goes all the way to... I think it's supposed to be the North Pole, because in MK versus DC, it's right outside the Fortress of Solitude.
It is in Arctic territory.
Yeah, they call it Arctica with K's in Armageddon. So that's an interesting thing too, because in the more recent games, they've retconned Arctica to be the name of the part of Outworld where the Cryomancers are from. And I like that better, because I don't like when there are made up locations in Earthrealm.
You can make jungle still exists, doo-dah.
Yeah, where is that? Show me on a map. Where is the Botan jungle in Earthrealm? The thing is, every previous game, the Earthrealm locations are real places. Like the Shaolin Temple is a real place that exists in the Hunan province of China. That's all real. Johnny is from Los Angeles, California, Venice Beach. That's a real place. The Lin Kuei Temple was in Mongolia. Mongolian China is a real place.
It's Earthrealm, not Earth. We've had this conversation.
It is Earth. It's supposed to be the world outside our window, except stuff happens.
This is a battle you lost many years ago, my friend.
I don't agree.
But,
and I do not accept Botan Jungle. I do not accept Arctica. That's just how I feel.
I claim Arctica as my nationality, okay?
All right. This is the Marvel universe, not the DC universe. There is no Gotham City. There is New York. All right?
Just wait till we get to Karak.
And we know there's a New York because that's where Stryker lives. MK3 takes place in New York.
In the part of New York which is Chicago.
Okay. MK's New
Let's
York.
Keep going.
MK's New York might have Whacker Drive. We don't know.
I'm just saying.
I could get around that. I think there's an explanation for why a fight might happen in actual Chicago. But anyway. Sub-Zero he finds this abandoned temple at the North Pole. We would later find out it used to belong to Taven's mom. That comes later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Arctica is in Earthrealm in the 3D era. NRS games say Arctica's an Outworld. It's where the Cryomancers lived. That is a retcon. I like the retcon. It's also maybe too late to retcon that, though. I don't think you can change things that are too set in people's minds like that. So I don't know that Arctica being an Outworld is going to be something that an audience will buy because they already know about it. But yeah, so he finds the Temple of Delia, and he decides to hold tryouts. He has a little recruitment tournament to get new members for the Lin Kuei. And the person who wins this tournament is a mysterious girl with You know, in those games' graphics, it looks like Ice 4 hair as opposed to blue hair that's being gelled up with ice.
Oh, God.
It looks like she's got a glacier growing out of her fucking scalp.
I've always hated it so much.
Yeah, the hair, Frost's hair in the 3D era does not look good. It looks much better in, like, well, it looks kind of silly in Christopher Walken in MKX, but it looks better at 11.
They finally got there.
Yeah.
11. X didn't work either.
A girl with spiked hair standing straight up is difficult to model. Okay?
You're straight up getting into anime territory with
Yeah.
the way that her hair works. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah. Anyway, Frost is this mysterious girl with no known backstory who just happens to show up for this tournament and win it. And the reason she wins it is because she also has ice powers. And Sub-Zero is like, wait a minute. I thought only members of my family had ice powers. What is up with this?
Oh yeah, a lot of people thought she was Sub-Zero's sister, but it turned out a lot of the development crew didn't know Sub-Zero had a sister.
Well, no, they were asked about it, and Vogel seemed to be aware of it, but specifically said she is not intended to be the sister. The reason she has powers, despite not being related to Kuai Liang, is the point of the mystery. Also, if you really
Sub-Zero's mother and sister, their fates in the Mythologies booklet are explicitly written in such a way as to imply they are fucking dead.
Yeah.
Between the lines.
Yeah, it specifically says they are never seen again. It doesn't say Sub-Zero never sees them again. It says they are never seen again. Meaning the Lin Kuei fucking disappeared them. Made them not exist anymore. They're dead. So, yeah, so Sub-Zero's like, she's not related to me, but we have the same powers. I've never seen that before. What is up with that? And so he decides to take Frost on as his personal apprentice. Problem is, Frost is...
Jason Todd, basically.
Yeah, she's a homeless girl from the streets, and she's got a bad attitude.
And she wants some power. She wants respect. She wants kudos. She wants the medallion.
Yeah, she is way too strong for her own good. Her powers have given her such an advantage in combat in her life so far that she's never lost. And she's super up her own ass about it. And she thinks she's the greatest thing in the world. And she's like, why is he always like trying to teach me stuff? I'm already better. I'm already the best. And like, why doesn't he respect me and recognize my greatness? That's a problem. And so Raiden shows up. And it's kind of implied that he's visited before, like while he was an Elder God, even that he was maybe checking out what Sub-Zero is up to.
Yeah,
and so he's familiar with Frost, and he's trying to give advice and help teach and stuff, and kind of just in one ear and out the other with this bitch. But all the same, he's like, he actually sends Sonya to the Lin Kuei to recruit Sub-Zero and Frost.
She gets into a fight with Frost.
Yeah, she gets Frost.
So they do not like each other.
Yeah, they are immediately enemies. Fire and water. So yes, I think Sonya wins that fight, and Frost still doesn't get humbled. She just gets mad at Sonya and is like, I want revenge on that bitch.
Point being, Frost has some problems. Even the most skilled of Sifus would have trouble getting out of her.
Yeah. So Sonya and Raiden, they tell Sub-Zero about the mission in the Outworld, and Sub-Zero takes Frost with him because he's like, this is, a learning opportunity for her. She needs to be tested in real combat. She needs some real world experience. And there's also this thing where Sub-Zero is saying, I need to go, even though I have this entire clan and I'm in charge now, and Grandmasters traditionally sit in the chair and send other people out on missions. I need to go in person because I need to show my new recruits, that I'm the kind of leader who leads from the front. And that, I'm not gonna, I would never send them to do something that I would be unwilling to do myself. And I need to earn their respect and show them that, I'm man. So I'm gonna go on this mission and I'm gonna take Frost with me. And the other 100 and some of you who are, my students, I guess you'll just have to train without me until I get back.
Yeah. Well, we've almost forgot Serena is there. Sub-Zero lets her in.
No, that doesn't happen yet.
Okay.
So what happens there is that, so Raiden now has his group, and he tells his group, okay, everybody, we will meet up at Shang Tsung's island on this particular night, and then once we're all together, we're going to get on one of Shang's boats, and we're going to sail to this place that I know of that has a portal.
Can we hold on for a second and pause to appreciate that? It's not just simply that we're going to get on one of Shang Tsung's boats. No, Raiden fucking resurrects the Nether ship. He pulls it up out of the goddamn water where it's been resting for untold years.
Yeah.
That is just such a visually beautiful image.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that everybody's able to find Shang's Island on their own. Like, they all travel separately to get there. Sody and Jax, they have their military jet stuff. And,
Johnny shows up in a fucking parachute from a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to make a big movie star entrance. Sub-Zero and Frost get there by making a boat out of ice and just rowing.
Yeah.
They don't say how Kung Lao gets there. He just does.
Yeah, and Raiden tells them this is basically Raiden telling the intro of Deadly Alliance.
Yeah. So the interesting thing, though, is that
I want to point out that we've been talking for literally 2 hours now, and we are at the intro.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of backstory. Here's the thing:
we might need to do this in 2 parts.
We might. But I just want to, if we're going to cut off, I do just want to cover one little point. Which is that Shang's Island sank at the end of MK1, and B, how did they find it? Because you need to sail through the mysterious triangle, the Bermuda Triangle-ish lost sea to get there, and usually you can only get there on one of Shang's boats, but they all managed to find their own way anyway.
I'm gonna hypothesize that with the defeat of Shao Kahn, maybe some of the magics that kind of binded Shang's Island between Earthrealm and Outworld were weakened just a little bit. Maybe it's now more in Earthrealm than it is in Outworld. It's locatable now. Just a hypothesis.
Well, here's what I assume. So first of all, Goro's lair appears in MK2. It also appears in MK4, but we talked about how it's weird for anybody to fight there because it's not part of the plot. But in MK2, it actually does make sense for Goro's lair to be a secret stage where you fight Smoke, Jade, and Noob, because part of the story of that game involves Smoke is presumably trying to find out what happened to Biha, and so he's got to go where his body. Jade is, stopping intruders from arriving in Outworld, and that's why she's spying on them in the Living Forest and following. In theory, these characters are following the heroes around and following each other around because they're doing these things in the background of the story, and that might involve good reasons to return to Shang's Island. So it's been theoretically back from its collapse, the earthquakes and the sinking and the disappearing. It's been back since maybe MK2. And the explanation that I would go with is that Yes, there was an earthquake. Yes, like the buildings and the stages should be in ruins. But when the island sank, what it was actually doing was just returning to Outworld, because it exists between the two realms, and it kind of moves back and forth. Sometimes it's in Earth, sometimes it's an Outworld. So at the end of MK1, it just kind of it disappeared because it went back to Outworld, and since then it has reappeared, and you can go back there, and that's all you need, really. So yeah, our heroes meet up on the beach of Shang's Island so that Raiden can get them all aboard a nether ship and sail to a portal.
Razor, what I wanted to ask you, when Raiden tells them all, well, already knew that Liu Kang is dead, how do you think they each individually felt about that?
Well, obviously, Frost has no idea who the fuck Liu Kang is.
Frost is fucking around on a cell phone, and she's watching Katana take all this news in.
Well, you know, it's 2002, so she might have a shitty flip phone if she has one.
She's got a Nokia.
I don't think you get cell service at the North Pole. I don't know that phones are useful for the Lin Kuei.
Oh God.
But okay, how do you think Jax, Sonya, Johnny Cage, and Sub-Zero felt?
I mean, I think they're all pretty broken up about it. Like, Johnny and Sonya in particular were very close to Liu Kang. Like, they were his best friends other than Kung Lao.
I think that once Johnny finds out there are no jokes out of his mouth for once, he sits there and he gets very, very, very quiet. And Jax is like, damn.
I mean, Jax has a lot on his mind about people he knows and loves dying right now anyway. Like, the entire OIA staff was nuked, so he's had a lot of people in his life die.
He's having a bad day. He's having a bad week. As good as Shang's and Quan's week has been, his is not. But I think that he's also the first person to stand up, put his fist in his palm, and go, let's go show them that's what they get.
Yeah. I mean, Sonya knows a lot of those people too, so she's had a lot of people in her life die very recently as well. But Jax feels directly responsible because he was probably closer to Su Hao and feels the most betrayed. Like, I trusted that guy. How did I not see it?
Yeah.
So they've got a lot on their minds, and Liu Kang just kind of is one more added to the pile. Which is also kind of, when they get to Outworld and they tell Kitana Liu's dead, like, obviously it hits her the hardest because she was in love with him. But she's also, like, on the way to Goro's funeral when she gets the news, so...
Yeah.
She's having a hard time, too.
We're not there yet, though.
Yeah. So the heroes assemble on the beach, and they spend the night around a campfire as Raiden tells them everything that's going on and what's up with the Deadly Alliance and why they're going to Outworld to get these guys. And then he raises another ship, and they all get aboard, and they sail to a secret portal. Because here's the thing. It's sort of a forgotten thing now. And Tobias has claimed that it was never part of his own intentions of the lore, that an intern wrote this. But in the early games, MK1 and 2, there was text in the games about how Earth is referred to as the Mother Realm, and the reasons that other realms, other like bad guys like Shao Kahn and Shinnok want to take it over so badly is because it's basically in the Midgard position on the world tree in Norse mythology, where it's the middle realm. It's the one that joins to all the other realms. If you take over Earth, you can get to anywhere else because we're the way station. And so there are like portals on Earth sometimes just occur in nature. You can find one in a cave that'll take you to some random realm. And other realms don't have this property.
That was one creative intern.
Yeah, so the thing is, Tobias didn't necessarily intend that to be true, but it is heavily used as the premise of the cartoon Defenders of the Realm. And it's made canon in Deadly Alliance. They specifically say in Sonya's backstory that her main mission for the OIA is to lead teams to find and destroy portals occurring in nature so that Earth can't be invaded. And they have succeeded at finding and destroying them all. And now the only way to get from one realm to another, if you're on Earth, is to use their techno portal, which Suhao just blew up. So Raiden has to find a portal that is a secret one that Sonya's team didn't destroy. And there's only one left on Earth. And it's the portal known only to sorcerers and deities, which has its own backstory that it was built by the first sorcerers. It's the Nexus portal. Unfortunately, in Deception, they did not use the design of this stage for the portal Shujinko uses. They done fucked up.
Which they tend to do.
Yeah, but so Raiden knows about this one portal that can get them to Outworld that nobody else knows about. Shang and Quan also knew about it, and they've been using it. That's how they got to Earth to kill Liu Kang.
Because they are sorcerers and deities.
Yes, and Quan Chi probably helped build the thing.
Yeah.
So, now you may ask, wait a minute, can't Raiden and Shang and Quan open portals with their magic anyway? Why do they need to go to a stage to do this? And the answer is, well, Shang is weaker than he used to be because he's been living in the dungeon for years and hasn't had as many souls to feed on.
Well, he's not old, so he's clearly...
No, he's not old. He's like 40-ish in Deadly Alliance, physically, which it's only been 10 years since MK2. Maybe 9 years. Yeah. And he was Tobias says he's supposed to be, when he's de-aged in MK2, he's supposed to be 19 now. He looks a lot older than 19. I don't know any 19-year-old Asian men who have a goatee that good.
He definitely looks mid-30s.
Yeah, but he's I would say maybe he's 25 in MK2. So he should be 35 now, but he looks more like 45, 50, and that's because when Shang doesn't have souls to feed on, he ages faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's a little weaker than he used to be. Quan Chi has been down in the 5th plane of the Netherrealm, having his magic drained for years, and so the only way he can open portals now is with the amulet, which means he has to find one, and it has to go to a specific place. So he can't find one that goes to Earthrealm, so they have to use portal known only to sorcerers and deities.
Yeah.
Raiden opening portals and teleporting people with him everywhere he goes is like an NRS era invention. He doesn't do that in the Midway games.
Yeah.
Theoretically, maybe he could, but he's not supposed to be allowed because opening portals damages the fabric that holds the realms separate from each other, you know? Yeah. The whole unbalancing the fury stuff they used to talk about. He's ripping holes. He's making the realms threadbare. So opening portals is bad. So it's much better, much healthier to find a portal that already exists. So he sails them to this secret portal and they go to Outworld.
Yeah. And I think we can probably stop there for
now.
Well,
we can, but there's one little thing I wanted to say about.
Okay, one little thing better not take 5 minutes, dude. I'm starving. I need to pee. I'm exhausted. I've slept 3 hours. We need to stop very, very soon.
Okay.
This is the last thing because it's about the portal we're talking about. All right.
They all have to fight their worst enemy.
Yes, to use this portal, you have to fight a vision of quote unquote your worst enemy.
Sonya fights Mavado, who she doesn't recognize.
Yeah, she doesn't even know him yet. The portal is telling her the future.
Yeah.
Quan Chi fought himself for some reason.
His worst enemy is himself. I can buy that.
I mean, it's supposed to act... This whole thing is supposed to be a plot device that acts as subtle foreshadowing, but just sometimes it just does not make sense.
Well, it's character exploration too, you know? Because, I think Shang fights, the vision he gets is Quan Chi.
That actually works.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like if they both fought each other, but I can kind of buy the portal telling Quan you are your own worst enemy.
I mean, Shag.
I think that he has a worst enemy, and I think that his worst enemy is an angry ninja who has been beating him to death for years on end in the land of the dead.
Yes, but the reason Scorpion is after him is because of Quan Chi's own fuck-ups. He created the problem.
I'm just saying, he literally has a worst enemy.
And also, I
Literally.
think Shag would fight Liu Kang, but obviously Liu Kang didn't have a model for that game, so they couldn't.
Also, he was kind of dead at that point.
Yeah. The whole thing is that, like...
No, they went through the portal to kill Liu Kang.
They went there once to kill him, and then they went again to go back. So... But Liu is not Shang's worst enemy, because Shang is able to beat Liu now.
Yeah.
I get by with a little help from my friends.
And
Liu Kang is like...
Who do the other characters fight? I
don't think it says who everybody fights. They only bring it up for a few of the characters.
Yeah. I think his worst enemy being himself would make sense.
I think Frost might fight a vision of Sonya.
I think she actually does, which is why I'm like, that's not your worst enemy.
Yeah, if anybody's worst enemy is their
minutes.
If anybody's worst enemy is their self, it should be her. Like, the ranking should be Frost is Frost's worst enemy. Second worst is Sub-Zero. Sonya's maybe third.
And who do you think? Kung Lao probably fights Shang Tsung. That's
probably.
And
Kung Lao is also his own worst enemy. Most of the characters should be fighting themselves.
And Jax fights Su Hao, I'm guessing.
I think so. I'm not sure it says for Jax.
It doesn't say for even. It does not say for everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't.
This is the thing that feels kind of like an afterthought. Although I am glad you brought it up. I wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Yeah, see?
I'm sorry. I just really need to pee.
I understand.
Okay.
Now they're in Outworld, and we can cover the rest of the game next episode.
Yeah, and we'll probably cover the beginning of Deception next episode, because this basically leads right into Deception.
We'll see how long it takes.
Yeah.
For more information on the storylines of Deadly Alliance and Deception, please consider playing the actual games, because they're just lore pits. This is the Crib Notes 2 hours version.
Yeah, there's so much text. It's a lot.
All right. Well,
we didn't even get into the fact that Johnny Cage was on Smash TV, that it's canon in the MK universe.
Oh my god.
We'll cover that next time. All right. See you guys later.
Good night, everyone.
See you later, nerds.
Have a nice day.